So now that you do have some wells in your well table, now seems like a good time to kind of go through this area to let you know the capabilities of the well table, which are probably some of the best features of GeoWebWorks in terms of being able to get a group of wells together, slice through it quickly, drill down to a more refined set, and then be able to look at various reports. And so let's look at a couple of things. First of all, this is what we call our default table. Everybody basically gets a default table, but you can also customize your table around specific values that you're interested in. In this instance, you're not able to change the default view, so you kind of have to go add new. Maybe, okay, I want status in here, I want operator in here, I want activity area. Just to make an example, we'll call this example 1, and you can go save, boom, go view table, and now you have that specific view available to you anytime you want it. Or if you prefer, you can bounce back to your default view, which has, again, location, field, pool name, producing formation, that kind of information. So just running through, this will take you through the various pages. This is beginning to end, next, previous, this is next. This is go to page, whatever you're interested in. This is a search functionality. I'm going to show you a little bit more in a minute. And you'll notice as well, if you mouse over these icons, they give you some guidance as to what they're for. And this saves your list. So when you make some changes, you might want to save the changes so that it gets incorporated into the list longer term. This removes all selected items from the list. This removes unselected items from the list. This allows you to dump this spreadsheet into Excel where you can work with it there. This will show these wells on the map. If you're within a certain parameter, you can only really show about well spots for about 100 miles across in any given area, or else the amount of data you're trying to transfer over the web gets a little excessive. So bear in mind that if you want to use this functionality, it should be within a fairly tight area. And this is your manage lists area. Now let's just play with this first of all. Let's say you've now got all the border wells together and you want to throw this into an area where you can get at it from time to time. You can open your manage list window here, which can also be accessed through the tools functionality, tools manage list. Then you can give this a name. Let's say we call this border wells, right? You can go save list, right? And now anytime you need to, you can go to your tools manage lists and you have those wells available to you to pull. But anyway, going back to the table, let's say now that we have a large master list of wells that you're kind of curious about. Let's say you want to get rid of some that you're not particularly interested in. Let's say, for example, you want to know all the wells where the status contains abandoned. So AB. So you can go clear current selection, so we aren't amending this to something else. You go search. Now you'll notice when we do this, there's blue wells, and there is also brown and white wells. In this particular instance, all the blue wells are selected. They were part of the search. They were all selected. And all the brown and white wells are unselected, right? So a couple of things you can do here. Let's say you're really not interested in the abandoned wells. You just want to find those out of everything. You can move to this toggle key and it will reverse everything. So now that the abandoned are the unselected and the blue are the selected. And you can also, if you wish, remove all those wells from your list so that you're down to just your what you may consider your producing or your more interesting wells. You can also continue this, you know, if you want to say, okay, now show me all the wells where the status contains suspended, or SUS in this case, and search for those. And like I say, you can also do the reverse with the red X. You can say, okay, well, let's get rid of all the ones I've selected. So now you're down to 42, and then, like I say, you can go back to your toggle and select all. So now you've got, let's say, a subset of those wells. You have the ability to step in and save this list as, say, border producing. And so now you're getting into kind of the meat of the matter. So now we can go look at some various reports related to these wells. Let's look at first well tickets. Now these are pretty standard well tickets. You've got the well, the operator, the field, the location, the licensee, the license number, current status, surface and bottom hole location, KB and ground elevation, classification of the well, any significant dates associated with that well, any logs run, and we're developing a link that will be fairly robust to the TGS library, so you'll see that shortly. You'll see over here all the tops that are recorded by the government, any completions run on the well, tour occurrences, casing. Again, I don't know how much of this information you're interested in, but there's also 3 months worth of production listed on the bottom of the ticket, which will just give you an idea of, you know, what the well is doing. There's a production report that's more detailed that we'll get into in a minute. But that gives you a flavor for what the tickets are like, and as you can see, if you're interested in a specific well, you can just click on the location in the left-hand window, and it'll bring up the ticket for you. If there's multiple events associated with a well bore, they'll both be listed on this same ticket. Okay, and so that gives you a flavor for how to get some of these tickets. And again, you can go either metric or imperial depending on your preference. We have the AOF and bottom hole pressure reports, and these, again, you access by clicking on the location you're specifically interested in. Just to make you aware, we'll look at some of this stuff later, but we also have an AOF and bottom hole pressure table of that data that you can pull up as a single group as opposed to pulling up individual reports all the time. Again, this can be exported to Excel very simply, and you can work with it there. You can also customize your view if you wish to remove certain columns. But anyway, getting back to the reports functionality, there's your AOF and bottom hole pressure reports. So I just want to make you aware of the various reports that are available to you. We've looked at the well tickets and the AOF and bottom hole pressure reports. Here's your injection reports, and you've got the data points on a graph, or you've also got the raw data behind, and again, you can push this out to Excel if you wish to do so. We've got some pool reserve data. So this will be specific to the wells that we had in our list. It'll pull up any pool reserve data associated with those wells. And we also have production. And in this case, we've got calendar data comes up immediately, but let's change that to month. So you've got, again, all the production for the individual wells. If you click on the side, you can pull up their individual kind of profiles. You've again got all the data associated with that well in the background. And in addition, if you scroll right to the bottom, you can pull up a summary graph of all the production that that group of wells has been involved with, and as well as a summary graph. You can start it from specific years. You can say, you know what, I'm really only interested in 2006 on. Let's see what we get with that. We give you a number of default views that you can draw from, but you can also customize your own graph view if you wish. This will make a copy of the current view, or this will create a whole new view. And again, you've got the choice of metric or imperial. So fairly straightforward. We've got some gas analysis, and not unlike the AOF and bottom hole pressure tables, we've got a gas analysis table. So you can get this group of wells into one spreadsheet that you can work with from there. We've got oil analysis where available. Governments aren't as sticky about making sure they get all this kind of data. Water analysis as well. Whoop. There you go. So no water analysis. Core analysis where available. And you've got all the data points in a spreadsheet, and or permeability over porosity chart to indicate kind of the trends. And then we've got some of these. I've got a normalized plot. This would take that entire group of wells that we were initially working with and put it into as if they all started on the same date. And you can get the group detail for these wells, so you can see, you know, the overall trend that you're looking with. If you mouse over some of these lines, it will give you the information about which well it is. You might want to pull that out of your group, or conversely, you might want to pull this one out of your group because it's so far out of the norm. You can do percentiles. You can go 70, you know, show me the line where 70 and show me the line where 20% of these wells fall, and update that. And as a matter of fact, you can also compare it to other well lists. So if we take our Signalta wells as a second offering, you can now juxtapose these two groups beside each other to see how their relative production has been. This can be particularly useful when you're maybe looking at various treatment techniques or characteristics of the reservoir to see who's maybe tackling this the most effectively. So that pretty much covers over most of the well-related reports. Let's look at some of the tables now. As I've shown you the well table, I would really encourage you to become familiar with this area. It can be a very effective way to drill down to a specific set of wells with specific characteristics, short of finding them off the map, but we'll continue on. We have a casing table, a completions table, any and all completions run on that well that have been captured by the government. Any logs run against those wells. Again, the AOF and bottom hole pressure data. Won't spend a lot of time here. Gas analysis, sour gas analysis, so any sour wells, in this case there aren't any in that particular group. Tower occurrences. I'll give this a second, there's one there. Again, I'm just showing you this so that you're aware that it's there. And pass files for certain wells if they're available. So that gives you a flavor for how the reports work.